The morning sun rose slowly, but for Maya, it brought no peace. She sat under the bridge, clutching the wallet as if it were the only thing keeping her alive. Her eyes were tired, her stomach empty, yet her mind kept racing. She pulled out the cash again. The notes felt soft and new in her hands. She counted them, 10, 20, 30, more than she ever imagined. Each bill seemed to whisper promises of food, safety, and a better life. Maya closed her eyes and tried to imagine it. A warm bed. A room of her own. Clothes without holes. Hot meals every day. Maybe even a job, if someone gave her a chance. The thought filled her heart with a sweetness she had not felt in years. But then another thought struck her. This money was not hers. Somewhere out there, Daniel Grant must be searching for his wallet. Maybe he was rich, maybe he could replace it easily, but what if that money was important? What if it was meant for something urgent? Her chest grew heavy. What should I do? She whispered to herself. Her voice was weak, almost lost in the sound of cars passing above the bridge. She tried to push the wallet away, but her hand pulled it back. She wanted to believe it was fate. She wanted to believe life had finally given her something after taking so much. Hours passed, and hunger grew stronger. Finally, Maya gave in to one small temptation. She took a single bill and walked to a small bakery on the corner of the street. The smell of fresh bread made her dizzy. The shopkeeper looked at her with suspicion. Her clothes were dirty, her hair messy. But when she placed the money on the counter, his eyes softened. She bought a loaf of bread and ate it outside, sitting on the pavement. The taste was heavenly. Warm. Soft. Filling. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she chewed. She had forgotten how good food could feel. But guilt sat in her stomach with the bread. One note gone. What if she kept spending until nothing was left? Would she still be the same as those who once betrayed her? As she sat there, she took out the wallet again and stared at the ID card. Daniel Grant. The name haunted her. She felt as though his eyes from the photo were following her every move, silently asking her why she hadn't returned what belonged to him. Later, Maya walked to the public library. She had not stepped inside one for years, but the library was warm, and no one asked too many questions. She used an old computer to search the name, Daniel Grant. The results shocked her. He was the son of a powerful businessman. Articles spoke about his company, his wealth, and his influence in the city. His face appeared on news websites, looking the same as on the ID card, calm, sharp, and serious. Maya's hands trembled as she read. This man was not just anyone. He had power, money, and respect. If he wanted, he could destroy her life with one word. Suddenly, fear filled her chest. What if he thinks I stole it? What if the police are already searching for me? Her eyes darted around the library. Every sound, every person seemed suspicious. A man turning a page. A woman typing on a computer. She felt like all of them were watching her. She stuffed the wallet back into her blanket and rushed out. On the streets, sirens wailed in the distance. Maya froze. Her heart beat fast. She imagined police cars pulling up, officers pointing at her, accusing her of theft. She clutched the wallet tighter, her breaths coming fast and shallow. No one stopped her. The sirens faded. But the fear stayed. That night, she tried to sleep, but the rain returned, and with it, her restless thoughts. She kept staring at the wallet, unable to let it go. Her past rose again in her mind. The friends who once promised to help but left her when she lost her home. The relatives who turned their backs when she begged for support. The endless nights of cold and hunger. Why should I give it back? She whispered. No one gave me anything. No one cared. Why should I care now? But deep inside, her heart was not at peace. She was not a thief. She never wanted to be. The wallet felt heavy not because of the money, but because of the choice it demanded from her. As the night grew darker, Maya imagined two futures. In one, she kept the money, bought food, clothes, maybe even a place to live. For a short time, life would be good. But what if Daniel found her? What if the guilt ate her alive? In the other future, she returned it. She would stay hungry, stay homeless, but her conscience would be clean. Maybe Daniel would even thank her. Maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't even care. Tears rolled down her face as she realized there was no easy answer. She hugged the wallet close, as though it could protect her from her own thoughts. Somewhere in the city, Daniel Grant was sleeping in a warm bed, unaware of the storm raging inside a homeless woman who now held his future in her hands. And as the night dragged on, Maya whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, tomorrow I will decide." The next morning was cold and grey. Maya sat near the library steps, the wallet hidden inside her blanket. She had not slept much. All night her mind had fought with itself, keep it or return it. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel Grant's face from the ID card. His sharp eyes seemed to follow her, reminding her that the wallet was not hers. Finally, she decided. She could not keep it forever. Fear was eating her alive. The sirens from the night before still echoed in her mind. She thought the only way to find peace was to give it back. But how? She was just a poor homeless woman. If she walked into a rich man's house and tried to hand back a wallet, would anyone believe her? Would they think she had stolen it? After hours of hesitation, Maya came up with a plan. She would not meet Daniel. She would simply leave the wallet near his house and walk away. No one had to know who returned it. No one had to ask questions. So, she searched his name again in the library. The articles mentioned his family mansion, a huge estate near the hills outside the city. The place sounded like a world far away from her dirty streets. Still, she decided she would go there. It took her the entire afternoon to reach the area. She walked through wide streets lined with tall trees, houses growing bigger and more beautiful with every step she took. By the time she reached the iron gates of Daniel's mansion, Maya's heart was pounding in her chest. The gate itself looked taller than any building she had ever entered. Guards stood on each side, wearing uniforms, their eyes sharp. Maya froze. She had hoped to slip the wallet through the gate quietly and leave, but now she realized it would not be so easy. Still, she tried. She pulled the wallet from her blanket, glanced at the guards nervously, and whispered, "I just want to return this." One guard stepped forward, suspicious. "Where did you get that?" His tone was harsh. Maya's throat went dry. Words stuck inside her mouth. She wanted to say she had found it, that she was only trying to do the right thing, but her voice refused to come. Before she could answer, a calm, deep voice came from behind the gates. "Let her in." The guard straightened immediately. Maya looked up. Walking down the stone path was a young man in a black coat, tall and confident. His steps were slow but firm, his expression unreadable. Maya recognized him at once. It was Daniel Grant, the man from the ID card. Her heart stopped. The very man she had feared meeting was now right in front of her. The guards opened the gate. Maya felt her legs weaken, but she forced herself to step inside. Daniel's eyes never left her as she walked closer. She held out the wallet with both hands, her fingers trembling. I found this," she said softly, her voice almost breaking. Daniel took the wallet and opened it quickly, checking the contents. Everything was still inside. Then he looked back at Maya. For a moment, he said nothing, just studied her with eyes that seemed to see right through her soul. Finally, he spoke. "You could have kept it. No one would know. Why didn't you?" Maya swallowed hard. She wanted to say many things, that she was tempted, that she had even used one note for bread, that she had almost lost herself in the thought of keeping it forever. But her lips only managed to whisper, "Because it wasn't mine." Daniel's eyes softened slightly. He studied her torn clothes, her tired face, and the blanket wrapped around her thin body. He understood at once what kind of life she lived. Yet, despite her hunger and suffering, she had returned what many others would have stolen without thinking twice. "Most people wouldn't do what you just did," Daniel said quietly. Maya lowered her gaze, unsure what to answer. Shame burned inside her, shame for the one note she had spent, shame for the night she had almost convinced herself to keep the wallet. The silence grew heavy until Daniel spoke again. "What's your name?" "Maya," she replied, her voice shaking. Daniel nodded slowly. "Maya," he said her name as if testing how it sounded. "You know, I've been looking for this wallet everywhere. And yet, I find it in the hands of someone who could have taken it without a trace." "Interesting." Maya's chest tightened. Was this a trap? Was he angry but hiding it? Was he going to call the police? She stepped back nervously. I should go. But Daniel raised his hand slightly, stopping her. Wait. His eyes stayed locked on hers. You said it wasn't yours. That means you know the difference between right and wrong. That's rare. Maya's breath caught. She didn't understand why he was speaking this way. Daniel glanced at the guards, then back at her. Come inside. I want to know more about you. Her heart raced. She had expected anger, maybe even punishment, not an invitation. Maya hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. Was this man testing her? Was this kindness real, or was there something hidden behind his calm smile? One thing was certain, from the moment she stepped through those gates, her life would never be the same again. The gates of the mansion closed behind Maya, and suddenly she felt trapped inside another world. The stone path was clean, lined with flowers she had never seen before. The mansion itself looked like a palace, tall walls, shining windows, and doors so big they made her feel even smaller. Maya clutched her blanket tightly around her shoulders, afraid her dirty clothes would leave marks on the polished floor. She felt out of place, as if every corner of the house was watching her. Daniel walked ahead without saying much, his steps calm and confident. He finally led her into a wide hall where golden lights hung from the ceiling. Maya's eyes widened at the sight of paintings, statues, and furniture more expensive than anything she had ever dreamed of. He stopped near a table and turned toward her. Sit, he said. Maya lowered herself into a chair, feeling as though she would break it just by touching it. Her hands shook. She did not know why he had brought her inside, and fear filled her chest. Daniel opened the wallet, glanced at it, then placed it on the table. His eyes locked on hers. Tell me the truth. Did you use any of the money? Maya froze. Her heart pounded. She wanted to lie, but the weight of his gaze made it impossible. Slowly, she nodded. I used one note. For bread. For a moment, silence filled the room. She was sure he would call the guards, maybe even the police. But Daniel only leaned back slightly, studying her. Then, to her shock, he smiled. Good. At least you are honest. Her breath caught. Was he mocking her? Testing her? She couldn't tell. Daniel stood up and walked to the window, his voice calm. Most people would have taken everything and run. You returned it instead. That says something about you. Maya whispered, I didn't want to, but my heart wouldn't let me keep it. He turned back to her, his expression unreadable. Then let's see if that heart is truly honest. Maya frowned. What do you mean? Daniel stepped closer. I want to test you. If you pass, you may never have to sleep under a bridge again. Her eyes widened. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. A test. What kind of test could a man like him give to a woman like her? Before she could ask, Daniel clapped his hands. A servant entered and whispered something to him. Daniel nodded, then looked back at Maya. From today, you will work here. Not as a guest, but as a cleaner. You will earn food, clothes, and a place to stay. If you do well, you stay. If not, you leave. Maya's mouth fell open. She had expected punishment, not a chance. Tears almost filled her eyes, but she held them back. Why me? She whispered. Daniel's gaze grew serious. Because you remind me that honesty still exists. And I need to know if I can trust you. Her heart raced. This was strange, almost unreal. But for the first time in years, someone was offering her more than pity. Someone was offering her a chance. I'll do it, she said, her voice shaking. And so, her life inside the mansion began. The first days were difficult. The other workers whispered about her, their eyes full of judgment. They saw her dirty clothes, her thin frame, and they laughed quietly behind her back. A beggar in the mansion, one maid sneered. She won't last a week. But Maya ignored them. She cleaned floors until her knees hurt, polished windows until her arms ached, and carried heavy buckets without complaint. Every night, she returned to the small room Daniel had given her, simple but warm, with a real bed, and she cried quietly, both from exhaustion and from gratitude. Sometimes, when she was scrubbing the halls, she noticed Daniel watching her from a distance. His eyes were sharp, as if measuring her every move. She never knew what he was thinking. One evening, after the staff had left, Maya lingered in the hall. She heard voices coming from Daniel's study. The door was slightly open, and curiosity pulled her closer. Inside, Daniel stood with another man, older, with a cold face. Their voices were low but tense. "You're making a mistake," the man hissed. "If you don't hand it over, the company will suffer." Daniel's reply was sharp. "I won't let greed destroy what my father built. I'd rather lose everything than sell my soul." Maya froze. She didn't understand what they were talking about, but the tone was dangerous. The older man left in anger, slamming the door. Daniel stayed behind, his face hard, his shoulders heavy. For the first time, Maya saw a different side of him, not just a millionaire, but a man carrying secrets and burdens. She stepped back quickly, afraid he would notice her. Her heart raced. What was happening behind these walls? What danger was Daniel hiding? That night, as she lay in her bed, Maya couldn't shake the thought. Maybe returning the wallet was not just a choice, maybe it was the beginning of something much bigger. Days turned into weeks, and Maya slowly grew used to life inside Daniel's mansion. She still felt out of place among the servants, who whispered and mocked her, but she ignored their cruel words. Every night when she lay down on her bed, she reminded herself, "At least I am not sleeping on the streets anymore." She worked hard, never complaining. And though Daniel rarely spoke to her, she often noticed his eyes on her, calm but searching, as if he was waiting for something. One evening, when most of the staff had left, Maya stayed behind to clean the library. The air smelled of old books and polished wood. She was dusting a shelf when she heard Daniel's voice from the study next door. His tone was low, almost tense. She paused, listening carefully. "You don't understand," Daniel said. "If they succeed, everything will be destroyed. My father's legacy, our company, even the people who work for us." Another man's voice replied sharply, "Then do what they ask. Hand over the documents. Protect yourself before it's too late." Daniel's voice grew firm. "No, I won't give in to blackmail. Let them come. I'll face them." Maya's heart pounded. She didn't know who the other man was, but the conversation sounded dangerous. Blackmail. Documents. Who were they? The door opened suddenly, and Maya panicked. She dropped her duster and bent quickly, pretending to clean. Daniel stepped out, his eyes narrowing when he saw her. "What are you doing here so late?" he asked. Her voice shook. I was just cleaning." He stared at her for a moment, then sighed. "Come inside." Maya hesitated, but followed him into the study. Papers were spread across the desk, along with photographs and letters. The room felt heavy with secrets. Daniel sat down and rubbed his temples. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, finally, he looked up at her. "You heard something, didn't you?" Maya lowered her eyes. "Only a little." Instead of anger, Daniel leaned back and gave a small smile. "Maybe it's time you knew the truth." Her heart raced. Why would he share his secrets with her, a homeless woman who had stumbled into his world by accident? Daniel's voice grew softer. "You're wondering why I gave you a chance. Why I let you stay here when everyone else doubted you. It wasn't just because you returned my wallet." Maya frowned. "Then why?" Daniel picked up the wallet from his desk. He opened it and placed it between them. "I left it there on purpose." Maya's breath caught. "What?" "Yes," he said firmly. "I left it in that cafe alley. I wanted to see if honesty still existed in this city. Everyone I deal with, businessmen, politicians, even so-called friends, cares only about money. They would steal, cheat, and lie without hesitation. I wanted to know if someone, anyone, could prove me wrong." Maya stared at him, her chest tight. All this time, she thought fate had thrown the wallet in her path. But it had been Daniel's test. Her voice cracked. "So, you were testing me?" Daniel nodded. "Yes. And you passed. You had every reason to take the money and run. But you didn't. You returned it." That told me more about your character than anything else could. Tears welled in Maya's eyes. She remembered the hunger, the fear, the long nights of doubt. She had almost failed. She had almost given in to temptation. Yet somehow, she had chosen honesty. Daniel leaned forward, his gaze serious. That's why I trusted you enough to keep you here. And now, I need you to trust me too. Maya's hands shook. Trust you with what? Daniel's voice grew low. My family is in danger. My father built this company with honesty, but there are people, relatives, so-called partners, who want to destroy it. They've been threatening me, demanding I give them secret documents. If I refuse, they'll try to ruin everything. Maya felt her stomach twist. But, why are you telling me this? I'm nobody. I can't help you. Daniel's eyes softened. Because you're the only person I've met in years who didn't betray me. Money means nothing to you compared to dignity. That makes you stronger than all of them. Maya's throat tightened. She didn't know what to say. She had never been trusted before, not like this. For years she was ignored, invisible, worthless. And now, a millionaire was telling her she was the only one he could count on. Before she could reply, the sound of engines outside broke the moment. Daniel stood quickly, his face hard. They are here. Maya rushed to the window. 2 black cars had pulled up near the gates. Men in dark suits stepped out, their faces cold and threatening. Her heart sank. This was not a game. These were dangerous people, and now she was caught in the middle. Daniel turned to her, his voice firm. Stay in your room. Don't come out no matter what happens. But as Maya looked at the men outside, a chilling thought entered her mind. They didn't know her face. They only knew Daniel's. And if they discovered she had overheard his secret, she might become their next target. The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the soft rumble of engines outside the mansion gates. Maya stood frozen near the study window, her breath shallow as she watched the black cars waiting like predators in the dark. Daniel moved with sharp focus. He locked the papers on his desk inside a drawer, then turned to Maya. His eyes were calm, but his jaw was tight. Go to your room, he said firmly. This is not your fight. But Maya shook her head, fear and worry battling inside her chest. They look dangerous. What if they hurt you? Daniel gave her a faint smile, though his eyes stayed serious. I've faced worse. But I can't risk them seeing you. If they know you overheard anything, they won't let you go. Her heart pounded. She wanted to argue, but before she could speak, the mansion doors burst open. The guards tried to resist, but the men in suits pushed through with cold determination. 4 of them entered the study, their leader a tall man with grey hair and eyes sharp as knives. He looked at Daniel with a cruel smile. You've been difficult to deal with, Daniel. But tonight, this ends. Daniel stood tall, unshaken. I will not hand over those documents. No matter what threats you make. The grey-haired man's smile faded. His eyes flicked around the room, then stopped when he noticed Maya standing in the corner. Ah, he said softly. And who is this? Maya's blood ran cold. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. She's no one, Daniel said quickly, stepping in front of her. Leave her out of this. But the man's grin returned. No one? Then why is she here in your study, so late at night? No, Daniel. I think she knows more than you want to admit. 2 men grabbed Maya by the arms. She cried out, struggling, but their grip was like iron. Panic filled her chest. Daniel's voice thundered. Let her go. The grey-haired man chuckled. You care too much, Daniel. That is your weakness. Now, give me the documents, or she pays the price. Maya's heart pounded. She felt the men's hands tighten, and fear pressed down on her like a heavy stone. For years, she had lived invisible, ignored by the world. And now, suddenly, she was at the center of a dangerous game she didn't even understand. Daniel clenched his fists. His eyes burned with fury. You want to threaten me with her life? Then you've already lost. Because she has nothing to do with this. But the grey-haired man only smirked. Then prove it. Hand over what we want, and she walks free. Maya's thoughts raced. If Daniel gave in, his father's company would be destroyed. If he refused, she would be the one to suffer. Tears blurred her vision, but deep inside, something stronger than fear rose in her heart. With all her strength, she shouted, "Don't give them anything. Don't let them win because of me." The room froze for a moment. Daniel's eyes widened, stunned by her courage. The gray-haired man sneered. "Foolish girl. You're braver than you look." Before he could order anything, the sound of more footsteps filled the hall. The mansion doors crashed open again, this time with police sirens flashing outside. Daniel's loyal guards had called for help. Officers stormed inside, guns raised, shouting commands. Chaos erupted. The men holding Maya tried to drag her away, but the police surrounded them quickly. After a brief struggle, the intruders were forced to the ground and handcuffed. Maya collapsed to her knees, shaking, her breaths ragged. Relief and shock flooded her body. Daniel rushed to her side, kneeling. "Are you hurt?" His voice was softer now, full of concern. She shook her head, though her hands still trembled. I thought they were going to," her words broke into sobs. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and strong. "You're safe now. Because of your courage, they showed their hand. And now it's over." The police led the men away, their cars disappearing into the night. The mansion grew quiet again, but the air was still heavy with everything that had happened. Maya wiped her tears, looking at Daniel with confusion. "Why risk so much for me? I'm nobody." Daniel shook his head firmly. "You are not nobody, Maya. You're the only one who showed me that honesty and loyalty still exist in this world. Tonight, you stood stronger than even my own business partners. That makes you more than anybody." Her chest tightened. For years, she had been treated as worthless, unseen, unwanted. But in Daniel's eyes, she saw something new, respect, trust, and something she thought she had lost forever, hope. Daniel helped her to her feet. "You don't belong on the streets anymore. From now on, you have a home here. Not because I pity you, but because you've earned it." Maya's lips trembled. "A home?" "Yes," Daniel said with a gentle smile. "A home, education, work, everything you need to build a new life. No more hunger. No more cold nights. No more being invisible." Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they were tears of joy. For the first time in years, her heart felt light. The night that began with fear ended with a promise. A promise that her life, once broken and forgotten, had truly turned upside down. And as she looked at Daniel, she realized something deep inside. Sometimes the poorest heart carries the richest treasure, loyalty, honesty, and courage. That was the gift she had given him. And in return, he had given her back her dignity, her future, and her life.